We were 3 hours into a 7-hour drive through the Nevada desert when we first noticed the car behind us. It was me, my girlfriend Tara, and my best friend Matt. We were on a road trip from Reno to Zion National Park, taking the back roads to avoid the summer traffic. The plan was to camp under the stars, just the three of us. No cell service, no distractions, just nature. And it had been peaceful until we stopped for gas at a place called Miller's Outpost. It was one of those old, run-down stations with a single pump and a restroom for customers only sign that looked like it. Hadn't been changed since the 70s. The clerk inside didn't say a word as we paid, just stared at us with pale, watery eyes. The place gave me the creeps. Tara said she saw someone watching us from behind the rusted-out ice machine outside. But when Matt checked, no one was there. I shrugged it off. Desert towns can be weird. We drove off, the heat shimmering on the road ahead like glass, miles of nothing but dust, cacti, and silence. That's when Matt leaned forward from the back seat and said, "Has that car been behind us the whole time?" I glanced in the rearview mirror. A dusty black sedan, windows tinted too dark to see through, was trailing us about 4 car lengths back. It hadn't been there when we pulled out of Miller's. At least I didn't think so. "Probably just heading the same direction," I said, trying to sound casual. But 20 minutes later, it was still there. Same distance. Never speeding up. Never falling back. Just there. Hour 4. We hadn't seen another car since the gas station. Not one. The sun was beginning to dip behind the hills, casting long shadows across the highway. The desert cooled fast. And with the darkness came a different kind of silence, one that pressed in on the windows, made the air feel heavier. Tara was getting anxious. "Can we pull off somewhere, just to see if they pass us?" There weren't any towns nearby. But a few minutes later, I spotted a dirt path leading off the main highway, marked by a faded sign that just said Service Road, no maintenance. I took the turn, drove about 50 yards down the bumpy road, and cut the engine. We waited. The sedan rolled past us, didn't slow down, didn't swerve, just kept going. We waited a few more minutes, then pulled back onto the highway. It was gone. Tara let out a shaky laugh. "Told you it was nothing." But Matt wasn't convinced. He kept looking out the back window like he expected it to return. Hour 5. The sun had vanished completely now, replaced by a deep, ink-black sky scattered with stars. Our headlights cut a narrow path through the dark, and we hadn't seen a single sign of life for over an hour. Then the lights appeared, far back in the distance. 2 headlights. Same spacing, same intensity, same car. "No way," Tara whispered. I pressed on the gas, hard. We were going 80 now, but the headlights didn't grow smaller. They matched our speed, then gained. Closer and closer, until I could see them in the mirror again. "Dude," Matt said, voice tight, "he's doing it on purpose." I slammed my fist on the steering wheel. "There's nowhere to go, no towns, no exits." "Then stop the car," Tara yelled. "What if he's armed? What if he's insane?" Matt shouted. Panic was settling in, real panic. I floored it. Hour 6. We flew down the highway at 90 mph, my hands locked on the wheel, eyes scanning for any sign of an outpost, a house, a single damn light in the darkness. Nothing. The car stayed behind us, always just far enough that we couldn't see the driver, close enough to let us know he was there. I flicked my high beams on and off. No response. I tapped the brakes. He tapped his. Then something happened. He turned off his headlights. We were still being followed, but now in pitch black. "He turned them off! He turned off the lights!" Tara screamed. I checked the mirror again. Faint, so faint was the outline of a car, still tailing us. "He's toying with us," Matt whispered. "Like a damn predator." It's 38 p.m. Finally, we saw something. A sign for a rest stop. It was old, decrepit, but real. I turned onto the gravel lot and pulled up near the broken-down bathroom structure. The lights inside flickered. No other cars. The sedan didn't follow us in. We waited and waited. Still nothing. I opened the door slowly. Cold desert air rushed in. My legs were trembling as I stepped out and walked to the edge of the lot. No sign of the car. Just open road. We stayed there until morning. No one came. Not the car, not a cop, not a soul. I don't know if it was some twisted desert drifter, a local lunatic, or something worse. But whoever or whatever was in that sedan had followed us for nearly 80 miles, playing with us, never showing their face, never making a move. Just watching. Waiting. We finished the trip with the first gas station we could find in Arizona, then turned around and drove home in silence. And now every time I'm on a highway and a car follows too closely for too long, I check the rearview mirror and wonder if it's the same one, still out there, still watching, still waiting for the next lonely stretch of desert road. We left Colorado around noon, with a playlist queued up, snacks in the backseat, and Google Maps promising us a scenic 9-hour drive into northern Utah. It was supposed to be fun. 4 friends in one car, me, Kayla, my girlfriend, Jamie, and Josh, on a road trip through the Rockies, chasing waterfalls, hiking trails, and making memories. But then we took the wrong turn, and everything changed. It started as a small detour. Josh had to pee badly, and we hadn't passed a rest. Stop in over 30 minutes. So when we saw a hand-painted wooden sign that read, "Pit Stop Cafe, 3 miles ahead," pointing down a narrow road that split off from the highway, we figured, why not? I pulled the car off the main route and started down the side road. It was a little bumpy, winding between pine trees and steep hills. No phone signal, of course, but we figured we'd be back on track soon. Except the cafe never came. After 3 miles, there was nothing, just more trees. The asphalt faded into cracked concrete, and then into gravel. I slowed down, frowning. "Where the hell is this place?" Jamie muttered. "I think we passed it," Kayla said. "Maybe it shut down." "I say we turn back," Josh added from the back seat, tapping his empty water bottle against his knee. "This road gives me the creeps." So I did a 3-point turn, or I tried to, because when I looked in the rearview mirror, the road was gone. Literally, no joke. The road we had just driven on, gone. Behind us was a dense wall of trees. No gravel, no tracks, just forest. "Wait, what?" I said, blinking. Josh leaned forward. "Where'd the road go?" Kayla's voice was tight. "You just came from that way." "I saw it." Jamie pulled out her phone. Still no signal. I threw the car into reverse and pressed the gas. The tires spun uselessly in place, like something was holding the car still. I shifted to drive and moved forward. The car moved, slowly, hesitantly, but forward. So we kept going. After about 10 more minutes of slow driving through woods that were growing darker, despite it being mid-afternoon, we found something. A town. Or at least what looked like one. There was no signage, no welcome post, just a small, empty-looking street with a row of houses. Each one was identical. White siding, black shutters, gravel drives. No lights on. No movement. Not even a dog barking. We drove in silence, every one of us scanning the surroundings. Josh spoke first. "This doesn't feel right." "I don't see any cars," Jamie added. "No mailboxes either." We passed what looked like a corner store, its window boarded up and faded lettering barely visible. Goddard's Market. That's when we saw the man. He stood motionless at the end of the road. Tall, thin, wearing dark pants and a collared shirt that looked decades out of date. His face was pale, nearly featureless from a distance. He didn't wave, didn't move, just stared as we slowed down. I rolled down my window an inch. "Hey," I called out. "Can you help us? We're trying to get back to the main highway." No response. I honked lightly. He didn't even blink, then he turned. Not toward us, away, and walked behind a building and out of sight. Kayla whispered, "We need to go." We tried to leave, but every street was a loop. We went left, then right. But the houses repeated. Same broken swing set, same tipped-over trash. Bin, same street lamp, flickering in the daylight, over and over again. Like we were stuck in a copy-paste neighborhood on an endless loop. Turned to Jamie. "Are we being pranked? Is this some viral TikTok thing?" Jamie didn't answer. Her eyes were wide. She pointed out the window. There were more people. Not moving, just standing. In 2s or 3s, on porches and sidewalks. All wearing outdated clothes. All pale, still, and staring. None of them spoke. None of them blinked. None of them looked real. We eventually stopped the car in front of what looked like a small park. A single rusted slide, a roundabout, and a sandbox overrun with weeds. Looked frozen in time. Josh got out first. "I need to see if this is fake," he muttered. "Josh, no," Kayla started, but he was already walking toward a man standing under a dead tree. He approached slowly, then reached out. "Hey, excuse me?" The man's head snapped toward him too fast, too sharp. We all screamed. Josh stumbled back, but the man didn't follow, just kept staring. Josh ran back to the car, breathless. His eyes, they weren't right. They were completely black. We drove again, faster this time. I didn't care about the potholes. I just kept the car moving. We passed the market again. The same boarded window, the same flickering sign. We were back where we started. "Try the road again," Kayla shouted. Maybe it opened up. I hit the gas and drove toward the place where the road had once been. And then, just like that, it was there, clear, as day. Paved, open, leading back into the woods. I didn't wait. I floored it. We didn't speak until we were at least 20 miles out. Back on the highway, phones buzzing back to life with signal. We tried to look up the town, its name, its location. Nothing. No Goddard's Market. No road matching the one we took. Like it didn't exist. Josh tried explaining it to his older brother, who worked in law enforcement. Even filed a report. They found nothing. No recent construction. No town where we claimed to be. Just empty desert and trees. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we had stayed, or if Josh had touched the man, or if we had waited until nightfall. I don't think we were meant to be there. I think that place exists between places, off the grid, off the map, for people who take the wrong turn at the wrong time and don't make it out. So if you're ever on a road trip and you see a faded sign pointing down a path you've never heard of, don't follow it, because you might end up somewhere that was never meant to be found, and not everyone gets the chance to leave. I still count the days since we walked away from that broken down sedan and the darkness that followed. It's the only way I can keep from losing my grip on reality, because what happened out there, it can't just be dismissed as a bad dream. It started on a late October afternoon. The three of us, me, Sarah, my boyfriend Mark, and our friend Lisa, were heading to a remote cabin in the woods of North Carolina. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend getaway. No Wi-Fi, no cell service, no obligations. Just hiking, campfires, and the sound of nature. Lisa had found the place online. It looked rustic but charming, perfect for getting off the grid. We left later than planned and took a few wrong turns along the way. GPS lost signal about an hour from the cabin, and we started relying on downloaded screenshots and Lisa's printed directions. That's how we ended up on a narrow, tree-lined road that didn't appear on any map. Mark insisted it was the right way. The road curved sharply and dipped into thick woods, where the trees grew close enough to blot out the sky. The further we drove, the more the tires crunched over wet leaves and gravel. There were no streetlights, no houses, no other cars. That's when the engine started making a grinding noise. Mark muttered something under his breath and pulled over, popping the hood. Steam hissed up. A belt had snapped and the engine was overheating. We were stuck. I tried calling roadside assistance, but of course there was no signal. None of us had bars. Lisa climbed onto the roof of the car and held her phone up to the sky like some kind of antenna. But it was useless. It was getting dark fast. Mark wanted to wait it out and see if someone would drive by. I wasn't so optimistic. We hadn't seen another vehicle in at least an hour. Lisa suggested we hike back the way we came until we found help. Mark said it was too risky. No light, no trail markers, wild animals. He wasn't wrong. We decided to stay the night in the car and figure it out in the morning. That was the first mistake. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of crunching leaves. Not wind, not an animal, footsteps. I sat up slowly and looked out through the fogged windshield. At first, I saw nothing, but the noise came again. Soft, slow footsteps circling the car. Lisa stirred in the back seat. Mark was already awake, eyes wide, hand gripping the steering wheel like he might have to use it as a weapon. We didn't say anything. Something brushed against the passenger side window. I turned and caught a glimpse of a shape, tall, lean, cloaked in shadow. It moved too quietly. Its face was hidden behind a hood, and I swear I saw something glinting in its hand. Then it was gone. We sat there in silence for what felt like an eternity. Eventually, we convinced ourselves it was just a hiker. Maybe a hunter, maybe, The next morning, we searched the area. No footprints, no sign of anyone. The woods felt wrong. The trees too still. The silence unnatural. I remember thinking the birds weren't even chirping. Lisa pointed out a small path leading away from the road, barely visible under the leaves. She swore she saw something move down there during the night. We should have left it alone. Mark, against better judgment, wanted to follow it, just to see where it went. Maybe find a ranger post or a house. He had a bad knee but didn't seem to care. We packed some water and snacks, locked the car, and followed the trail. It wound deeper and deeper into the forest, becoming less a trail and more a tunnel of branches. We walked in silence for nearly 30 minutes before we saw it. An old shack. It looked abandoned. Weather-worn planks, a sagging roof, boarded windows. There was no path leading to it, no driveway, just there, like it had been dropped in the middle of the woods. Mark pushed open the door. Inside were old camping supplies, a rusted stove, and something that looked like a cot with torn bedding. And on the far wall, scratched deep into the wood, were words. "Don't stay after dark." Lisa backed out immediately. I followed. Mark lingered a few seconds longer before joining us. It was almost sunset when we got back to the car. That's when we saw them. Footprints, dozens of them. All around the car, circling, some small, some large, barefoot. No tire tracks, no sign of help. Just prints in the mud, like they had been watching. Waiting. We didn't speak. We got into the car, locked the doors, and waited. I remember gripping Mark's arm so hard my fingers went numb. That night it got worse. More footsteps. More shadows, scratching against the windows. At 3:14 a.m., something pressed its face against the rear passenger window. Pale skin, sunken eyes, teeth too wide. It didn't blink, it just watched. Lisa screamed. It was gone in a blink. That was it. At first light, we abandoned the car, grabbed what we could carry, and ran down the road, not looking back. We walked for hours until we finally flagged down a pickup truck. The man who picked us up said he'd lived in the area 30 years. He'd heard stories about a group that lived in those woods, off the grid, not quite right. He said people used to go missing out there. Hikers, campers, anyone who stayed too long. He dropped us at the nearest gas station. We never found the car again, not on satellite images, not when we reported it, just gone. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend, but something lives in those woods. And if your car ever breaks down out there, don't stay after dark. It was supposed to be a shortcut, a quicker route off the highway that would shave 30 minutes off our drive through the Midwest. That's what the GPS said, at least. "Turn right in 800 feet, the voice chirped, leading us off I-74 and onto a narrow, unnamed road that cut through miles of cornfields and low-hanging mist. We were headed to a wedding in Iowa. Me, Tyler, my girlfriend Kayla, and my best friend Devin, crammed into my beat-up Toyota Corolla with suit bags in the trunk and coffee cups rattling in the cup holders. I wish I'd ignored that turn. It looked sketchy from the moment we pulled onto it. The pavement was cracked and uneven, more gravel than asphalt, with trees creeping in from both sides like nature was trying to take it back. The road was so narrow that if we met another car coming the opposite way, one of us would have to reverse. But we didn't see any cars, at all. No houses, no lights. Just miles and miles of road stretching forward into thick trees and fog. The GPS said we'd be back on a main road in 16 miles. So we kept going. That was mistake number 1. 5 minutes in, we lost signal. No LTE. The GPS map froze mid-refresh, then blinked out. Kayla tapped her screen, frowned, then held her phone out the window like that would help. "Mine's dead too," Devin said from the back seat. "Must be a dead zone." "I'll just keep driving," I said. Can't be that long. But the road felt like it was that long. The trees got thicker, the daylight dimmer, even though it was barely 3 p.m. outside. The fog started to roll in from between the trees, hugging the road like low smoke. The tires crunched over wet leaves, and I swear every so often, I thought I saw movement in the woods. Branches swaying, a flash of something dark, something standing still. We all stopped talking. The silence in the car was heavier than the fog. Then something crossed the road. It was fast. Too fast for me to get a good look. Just a flash of legs and a dark shape, bolting from one side to the other about 50 feet ahead. I hit the brakes and Kayla yelped, grabbing the dash. "Did you see that?" I asked, heart thudding. "I thought it was a deer," Devin said. "But it moved weird." Kayla shook her head. "It was tall, like a person." "Let's just keep going," I said, trying to shake the chill crawling up my spine. Maybe it was a hunter. We drove slower. The road narrowed even more, the trees starting to close in like a tunnel, and the farther we went, the more wrong it felt. We should have turned around. The road started curving in strange ways, tight angles and loops that didn't make sense. At one point, we passed an old rusted mailbox with no post and a crumbling stone foundation overgrown with moss. It looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. "I swear we've seen that already," Kayla said quietly. Devin leaned forward between the seats. "Dude, I think we're going in circles." I checked the odometer. We'd been driving for nearly 45 minutes. There hadn't been any turns or splits. The road just kept twisting forward like a snake, and now we were somehow right back where we'd been. And then the fog got worse. Thick, unnatural. My headlights could barely cut through it. I slowed to a crawl, gripping the wheel with white knuckles. Everything outside the car looked smeared and ghost-like. That's when we saw the figure again, standing in the middle of the road. I slammed the brakes. This time there was no mistaking it. It wasn't a deer, it wasn't an animal. It was a person. They were tall and thin, with long limbs and a crooked stance. Their clothes hung in tatters and their face, God, I still can't describe it properly. It looked like it was stretched, like someone had pulled their skin too tight. No eyes, just empty sockets. And it didn't move. It just watched. Kayla started crying softly. Devin whispered, "What the hell is that?" I threw the car into reverse, tires skidding over loose gravel. I turned the wheel hard, trying to spin around, but the road was too narrow. The car bumped into a ditch, then stalled. Come on," I yelled, twisting the key. The headlights flickered. The figure was gone. Nope, we're leaving this road," Devin said, already unbuckling and reaching for the door. "No, stay in the car." Kayla grabbed him. I twisted the key again. The engine roared back to life. We kept driving, didn't speak, barely breathed. The road didn't end. There were no road signs, no intersections. The fuel gauge started dipping toward empty. I was afraid to stop. Then we saw the sign. It looked handwritten, barely legible in the fog, hanging crookedly from a wooden post. "No return after dark." That's when I realized the sun had set. The light disappeared unnaturally fast, like someone flipped a switch. And as the shadows closed in, the road changed. The trees leaned in closer. The road began to crack and split. Potholes, broken branches. The air inside the car got cold, like breath on glass cold. The figure started showing up more often. Sometimes in the distance, sometimes just at the edge of the woods. Once, right at the side window. I didn't stop, I couldn't. Eventually the road just stopped. Not ended. Stopped. Like it had never been finished. Like it wasn't meant to lead anywhere. I hit the brakes. The fog ahead was so thick it looked like a wall. The GPS was still frozen. Phones dead. Nothing but black trees and a dead road. We turned the car around and drove the way we came. But the road wasn't the same. We drove for hours, through the fog, past the same trees, the same sign. No return after dark. We're still trying to get out. Still driving, still stuck. If you're ever on I-74 and your GPS offers a shortcut through a back road with no name, don't take it. You won't see the end of it. It was supposed to be a straight shot from Flagstaff to Albuquerque. Just under 5 hours of desert highway, music blasting, windows cracked, and coffee-fueled conversation. My best friend Darren and I were heading to a weekend music festival, and we figured we'd skip the hotel costs by driving through the night. It wasn't our first late-night trip, and I wasn't exactly nervous about it. Not at first. We hit the road around 9:30 p.m. I drove the first leg while Darren dozed in the passenger seat, his hoodie pulled up and earbuds in. The roads were empty, just an endless ribbon of two-lane highway stretching through the black desert. The occasional glow of far-off headlights or roadside diner broke up the monotony. By 11:15 p.m., we hadn't seen another car for a good 30 minutes. That's when I saw the man. He was standing just off the shoulder, right near a mile marker, his silhouette lit by my high beams. He was wearing a faded red flannel, ripped jeans, and no shoes. His head was tilted slightly downward, but I could tell he was staring straight at the car as we passed. He didn't flag us down. He didn't move. He just watched. "Yo, did you see that guy?" I nudged Darren. He pulled an earbud out and blinked. "What?" There was some dude just standing by the road, like in the middle of nowhere, probably hitchhiking. Or hi, happens out here. Yeah, but he didn't have a bag or anything. Just stood there, barefoot. We let it go mostly, but something about the guy stuck in my head. His posture, his stillness, the way his eyes seemed to follow us as we passed. About 20 minutes later, I saw him again. Same red flannel, same bare feet. This time he was leaning slightly forward, just beyond the guardrail. There was no way he could have walked that far in 20 minutes. We'd been doing a steady 70 mph the whole time. "Okay, seriously," I said, my voice tight. "He's back." The same guy. Darren sat up straight and looked out the passenger window just as we passed him. "You're screwing with me." "I'm not." Darren looked over his shoulder, but the desert swallowed the man in seconds. There were no streetlights, no houses, nothing but scrub brush and darkness. "Maybe there's more than one guy wearing the same thing," he offered. "In the middle of nowhere?" "All right," he said slowly. "I'm taking over. You're getting punchy." We pulled over at a dusty turnout, switched spots, and I took a few deep breaths before climbing into the passenger seat. The clock read 12:03 a.m. I didn't sleep. I watched the road, every mile of it. Nothing for a while. Then at 12:41 he was back, standing beside a rusted-out road sign. Same clothes, same tilt of the head. Only this time he raised his hand slowly, like he was waving. I said nothing. Just stared. Darren drove right past without saying a word. 10 minutes later, I broke the silence. "You saw him, didn't you?" Darren nodded slowly. "Yeah." We didn't talk for a long time after that. At 1:22 a.m., we passed him again. This time, he was in the center of a dirt path that crossed under the highway. He was closer now, close enough that I could see his face. Only, there was something wrong with it. His skin looked like it had been dried out in the sun for too long. Leathery, tight. His eyes were wide, glassy, and unblinking. His mouth was open just enough to reveal dark gums and crooked teeth. I felt sick, a deep twisting sickness in my stomach. "Okay, screw this," Darren muttered, hitting the gas. "We're not stopping until we hit a city." Except we didn't see a city, not even a gas station. It was like we had entered some kind of stretch of highway that never ended. The next time we saw the man, he was standing directly under an overpass. His face wasn't tilted anymore. He was staring up, his neck stretched unnaturally far back. "He's waiting for something," I whispered. Darren didn't reply, he just kept driving. The GPS stopped working sometime after 2 a.m. Just froze on a blank screen. No signal, no directions. Darren tried restarting his phone. Nothing. And then, at 2:37, we hit something. The car jolted hard enough to slam me into the dash. "What the hell was that?" I shouted. Darren slammed the brakes. We skidded to a stop. The road was empty, no signs of debris, no blood, no body. He got out, checked the front, nothing. But on the windshield, smeared handprints. Not just any handprints. They were too long, too wide. The fingers were stretched like the bones inside them had been pulled apart. We got back in the car, locked the doors, and kept driving. I don't remember falling asleep, but I must have passed out. I woke to sunlight streaming through the windshield. Darren was slumped at the wheel, parked on the shoulder just outside of Gallup. "What time is it?" I croaked. 7:20. "We made it?" Darren nodded slowly. "Yeah." I looked down at my phone, still dead. We got gas, found a diner, and didn't say a word about the night. It wasn't until we checked into our hotel that Darren finally broke the silence. "You saw him again, didn't you?" he asked. I nodded. "So did I," he said, eyes fixed on the floor. Right before sunrise, standing on the overpass, watching us drive beneath him. We didn't go to the music festival. We didn't go anywhere. We stayed in the hotel room all weekend, curtains drawn, lights on, trying to convince ourselves that what happened was just sleep-deprived paranoia. But 2 weeks later, I was driving to work early, around 5:30 a.m. on a highway just outside Phoenix, and I saw him again. Same clothes, same eyes, standing in the distance, watching